This ain't about being flashy. This is game day, son. It's only about one thing. Getting that W. That's the only thing that matters right now. Boy, are you ready? The past is the past, you know? It's a new day, bro. I'ma put it on my day.
Welcome to In the Huddle. I'm your host, Xavier, and this is Ben and John. So how did you guys' teams do this week?
Well, I found out the hard way that my league doesn't have a tiebreaker, so I tied this week. I did 86 to 86. If Vincent Jackson would have had one more yard, I would have lost. So it was that close.
What are the odds of that? My team actually won this week. It was a pretty big win, actually.
Pretty big
won by more than 20 points, so doing pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's decent.
Hoping to beat an undefeated team right now.
Yeah. Wait, is he 7-0?
He's 6-0. I believe.
6-1,
maybe.
Oh, 6-1. All right.
Do you evenly match up with him?
No.
You don't?
No, I don't
It's
think
probably
so.
going to be lost.
Yeah.
All right, on to the studs of the week. My stud of the week was LeSean McCoy. He plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's a running back. He ran for 185 yards and had 2 touchdowns. He had a monster game. It was big. It was big.
Yeah, LeSean McCoy just went nuts, and of course, he did well. So they weren't doing much of the passing game, which made my receivers do poorly, which helped me tie in my league. So
you started him?
Yeah, okay. I started Deshaun Jackson, and that LeSean McCoy took away from him. So.
Well, he did have 15 receiving, yards. So
yeah.
I mean, he didn't do horrible when it came to receiving, but
yeah.
I mean, LeSean McCoy, he was just running over Dallas, and that's the second week somebody has posted that much running yards on Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I mean, Dallas was leading the league in the
run stop.
Like, they had 69.9 yards that game, I think it was, against, and LeSean McCoy just went nuts on them. So, I mean, he's doing well this year.
Oh yeah, he is the #1 running back in the league right now. So, I mean, he's doing really well.
Right, on with that.
All right, time for the dud of the week. My dud of the week was Deshaun Jackson. He had 3 receptions for 31 yards, and he dropped numerous balls. It was just embarrassing to watch him. They actually almost had to call a fumble on him because of one of his drops. It was being controversial. He just had an awful week and didn't look good. He had way more than 3 targets, so it was just a bad week for him. What do you think, guys?
I think he could have played better. You see how that they have like a good defense with wide receivers, but he could have stepped up. I mean, he is a big receiver, and like he's a standout receiver. So some defenses are already game planted against him.
Yeah.
And I mean, with their good quarterback, I mean they're having a good time. You know what I mean? Like, their quarterback's a great thrower. Their running back, we just talked about, he's real good.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to set up offense. They just need some receivers that they can rely on, and he's just not one of them.
Well, I mean, Deshaun Jackson's good. It's just everybody throws their best cornerback at him. Plus, I mean, he did have a bad week. It was just a bad week for him. He did drop balls. But usually it's just a case of them sending their best cornerback at him. So, right. I mean, if you look at that, then it just, you got to look at it through, what he's coming from with, having to deal with the best corners in the league. So,
right.
And, I mean, last year you could just tell that there was, the week that I faced him in the one league I was playing in, he just absolutely shredded me. I was up by a good margin, and all of a sudden there were it was just a ton of points. So.
Yeah, and he's not the only good wide receiver on that team. I mean, there's other people, but he's the standout one that everybody knows is going to make the big play.
He has a lot of hype.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the Eagles, the definite starter this week is definitely Mike Vick. He had 50 rushing yards, 279 passing, and I think he got me 22 points actually. So, I mean, I did pretty good. He's doing really well. He's got his running back with him, LeSean.
I mean, it's the Eagles show today. I mean,
definitely.
The Eagles have a really good team. I mean, everybody was getting down on them at the beginning of the season because they weren't playing together. I mean, that's just what happens when you're building the team like with that many stars.
Yeah, it's 2-4 wasn't exactly stellar, and we refer to them at the start of the year as the dream team. So if you look, they're starting to pick things up, and they definitely did what they're capable of on Sunday night against that pretty good Dallas defense. So you can see what they're capable of going up, winning 40 or was it 34-7. So
Yeah.
I mean
it was a big win.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good win. And I think I agree with you. The Eagles are doing good, but I think they have their set of competition coming up. In the next few weeks. Definitely got a lot of teams that are really good that are going to be going against them. And I'm kind of interested to see if the Eagles are going to bring their A game. You know what I mean? To those games, or are they just going to be like everybody predicted them? Like they are a dream team, but are they good enough to face like Pittsburgh, who has a great defense? I mean.
Yeah, well, they are a great defense, but it seems like they've gone downhill lately. I mean,
Definitely.
Palomalu's, getting it, or just old, so. But yeah, you can definitely see the Eagles doing well this year.
All right, so Ben, who's the replacement pick for this week for the injuries?
Well, my replacement pick this week would be Hakeem Nicks being injured. So the replacement that I picked was Mario Manningham. Now you can see that last week he got targeted in the end zone once, and he just had a great game with Nicks getting injured in that game. So if we have Nicks getting injured, Manningham's definitely going to step up because I really don't see anyone else. I mean, Victor Cruz is there, but I definitely feel that Mario Manningham will be the guy to step up. I mean, ESPN's projecting him to do very well this week. I mean, what do you think, guys?
I mean, he's a good wide receiver, and it's just like another fill-in spot that he can just step up and be the star right receiver for New York. I mean, it's a good team.
I've been waiting for him to do something since he got drafted. He's had a rookie year and he's been injured, but now with Hakeem Nicks being out, that's a great receiving core, and I think he's going to step up and be that guy that's going to turn them into a high-power offense. I mean, Ahmad Bradshaw's hurt and Brandon Jacobs is coming back, so we have to look at them probably going to be going through the air. So
Yeah.
On with the sleeper pick. My sleeper pick of the week was Carson Palmer. He didn't have a stellar game when he played for Oakland a few weeks ago, but he had a bye week, and ESPN is projecting him to have 212 yards and two touchdowns. I think he might do even a little better. I mean, he had a bye week to learn people's names and more of the game plan and playbook. So I'm looking for him to finally break out of his slump shell that he's been in for the longest.
And I totally agree with you. Last week, he had all the hype. He was expected to do really good, and then all of a sudden he just blew it right in front of everyone. And we were wondering, Carson Palmer, he's not a bad quarterback, but he's going to Oakland to help them improve. I mean, after the Browns game, they weren't doing their best, but they had a pretty good running game.
Yes.
But they needed a passer, and that's why they brought Palmer in. But then once he came in, he did bad. So I'm thinking that after he learns the playbook, learns the coaches, learns the players, he's going to be good. He's going to know who he's working with, how they run, how they do their routes. I mean, each team is different.
Well, I know one thing. Kyle Bohr is not the answer. He just went out and did terrible. So, yeah, Carson Palmer should look to have a good week. And I'll be the first to admit that Denver doesn't exactly have the greatest defense ever,
Right.
Especially against Matt Stafford last week. You can see 45-10 was that result. So you can see that it was definitely it's a good matchup for Palmer. It's definitely favorable.
And another thing, they went and picked up T.J. Houshmandzadeh, and he played with Cincinnati, and him and Palmer have a good relationship, chemistry going in.
Yeah.
So him being brought in as a right receiver is another good thing to happen for that team.
It's definitely a good chemistry
thing.
So
On with Don't Get Down On, Sean.
All right. My don't get down on pick is definitely Peyton Hillis. Peyton Hillis has been infamously under the Madden curse. He has pulled his hamstring. And he's expected to come back this week, but he's still rated as questionable for all the fantasy leagues. He's been doing really well, but he has his fair share of bad runs. I mean, when he was playing before he pulled his hamstring, he had his really good running games. He was actually helping the Browns actually show their better offensive running game. I mean,
the one thing that I was not going to do the first couple rounds of the draft this year was draft Peyton Hillis. I mean, there was just all the signs that were saying it's the year. It's not only the Madden curse, whether you buy into that or not, but if you look, it's just the year after the breakout year. It's that sophomore slump that you're looking at. Now I know it's not his second year in the league, but it's still the year after that breakout year. He did good in Denver, but he really, as everyone in northeastern Ohio knows, he did really great last year for the Browns. So, I mean, yeah, he will probably have that spark this week. I can definitely see that happening.
I mean, you look at the Browns. What are they based on? They don't have a solidified passing game yet, and all they have is Peyton Hillis. I mean, when so much attention is drawn to Peyton Hillis after his breakout year, I mean, he's gonna get stopped. To him.
And if you look at the past few weeks of the Browns, I mean, in fact, not weeks, years. I mean, we got quarterback change. They never kept the same quarterback for like a couple of years. I mean, look, you're wearing a running back now. I mean, he was a big running back for the Browns. He was really needed. He got the job done, and now we got Hillis in here, and hopefully he'll do the same thing once he gets back. And I'm expecting a big game from him once he gets back in.
Yeah.
Either like this week, maybe like he might be a little shaken up, like he's just getting back into it. But either this week or next week, he's gonna have a big game. So, yeah.
John, who's your pick of the week this week for the running backs?
My pick of the week is definitely LeSean McCoy from none other than the Eagles. He had 30 carries, 185 rushing yards, 15 receiving, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he just had a really good game. I mean, you talked about him being the stud of the week, yeah. And he was doing real well. And like he just got it done. The Eagles are definitely the team that talk about this show.
He definitely did have a great game, and to go along with that, my pick of the week would definitely be Fred Jackson. Fred Jackson's gone under the radar this year in just being that reliable 20-point-a-week guy. He's on my second team, and he's just done well this year. He's been that reliable guy. When I have Chris Johnson and Ahmad Bradshaw on the same team, who would think that he'd be the best running back on my team? It's just that's the fun of fantasy football. You got to look at that. So, who's your pick?
My pick of the week is none other than less Adrian Peterson from the Minnesota Vikings. He's probably the best running back in our league right now. I mean, there's other people that can compete with him, but he just produces week after week after week. I mean, some games are not as big as other ones, but like you can just tell that like when he gets the ball, he's gonna do something with it.
Definitely. Yeah, he's just that guy that can make things happen, and we're just so used to him doing well that we just kind of assume that he's doing well, and because the Vikings aren't having the greatest year, we definitely do overlook him.
Right, and he's still always going to perform no matter what.
Yep. So there we have it.
Thanks for tuning into the show. For Ben and John, I'm your host Xavier. Catch you next week for In the Huddle. Hut hut!
Because only you decide if you stand or fall. Only you can control what happens between the whistles. So what are you gonna do? You gonna leave a shred of doubt in anyone's head, or you gonna leave nothing?